The apartment always smelled like rain on concrete and fresh ink, with a trace of whatever citrus shampoo Liam used that week. It clung to the towels, the couch cushions, the collar of the hoodie he left draped over the kitchen chair. We'd been roommates for 9 months, and I'd been quietly, catastrophically in love with him for 9 months minus 3 days. The exact length of time it took for me to realize the way he said my name wasn't casual, it was careful. I'm Elias, 26, a freelance illustrator who spends too much time hunched over a tablet in sweatpants, drawing logos for startups that will probably fold in 6 months. I came out at 17, survived the predictable fallout, and thought I'd built a life sturdy enough to withstand unrequited anything. Then Liam Harper walked into my orbit at a mutual friend's rooftop barbecue, beer in one hand, sketchbook in the other, and asked if I needed a roommate because his lease was up and he couldn't stand another month of his current guy's protein shake blender at 5A. Liam was the kind of tall that made doorframes nervous. 6'3", lean from weekend rock climbing, blonde hair that caught the light like it had a personal vendetta against shadows. But it was the way he listened, head tilted, one eyebrow raised, like he was solving a puzzle you hadn't realized you'd presented. The way he'd leave half-finished charcoal sketches on the fridge with captions like, Elias vs. the Monday Blues, round 47. Morning, Picasso, he called from the kitchen that Friday, voice still rough with sleep. I emerged from my room in mismatched socks, hair doing its best impression of a bird's nest, and found him sliding a plate across the counter. 2 pancakes, one slightly burnt, syrup in a smiley face. Big deadline? He asked, leaning back against the sink in a gray t-shirt that had once been mine and now lived permanently in his drawer. He was a copywriter for an outdoor gear company, which meant he got to wear flannel to work and still look like he belonged on a billboard. Client wants a full brand refresh by Monday, I said, stabbing a pancake. If I pull an all-nighter, I might survive. You will, he said, like it was a fact, not a hope. Your stuff's magic, Eli. They'd be morons not to see it. My name in his mouth was a small, dangerous thing. I hid behind my coffee, oat milk, 2 sugars, the way he'd memorized without asking. You, I managed, pitching a campaign for a new tent line. If it lands, I get a trip to Yosemite to test the product. He air-quoted with a grin. Wanna come? You could sketch the sunrise. I'll carry the backpack. This was our rhythm. Easy offers that felt like invitations to something more than a quick retreat into the safety of just roommates. Liam had dated women exclusively, as far as I knew. A serious girlfriend in undergrad who'd moved to Portland. A string of Tinder dates that ended with polite, she's great, but texts to our group chat. He talked about settling down someday, kids, a dog, the whole suburban postcard. And yet, there were the moments. His knee pressed against mine under the table during movie nights, staying long after the credits. The way he'd fall asleep on the couch mid-conversation, head on my shoulder, breath warm against my neck. The time I caught him staring while I sketched, his expression soft in a way that made my stomach flip. I told myself it was nothing. Wishful thinking, a hazard of living with someone who looked like sunlight personified. Earth to Elias, Liam said, waving a hand. He'd moved closer, close enough that I could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow from a climbing mishap. You in for Thai tomorrow? That new place with the string lights? Sure, I said, voice steady through sheer force of will. Sounds good. He grabbed his keys, then paused. Did something new. His hand landed on my wrist, thumb brushing the inside of my pulse point. Hey, you've got this. Then he was gone, the door clicking shut behind him, leaving me with pancakes and a heartbeat that wouldn't settle. Chapter 2. Fault lines. The deadline was a triumph. The client cried, actual tears, over a logo reveal, and my inbox flooded with congratulations. I should have been floating. Instead, I spent the afternoon refreshing Liam's Instagram story. A photo of his boots on a conference table, captioned "Send coffee or send help." My phone buzzed. Noor, best friend, zero filter. "How'd it go, genius?" Me. "They loved it." Bonus incoming. Noor. "Celebrating tonight?" Me. "Liam mentioned dinner tomorrow." Noor. "Elias, babe, we've talked about this." Noor. "You're in love with a straight boy. This is a slow-motion car crash." I stared at the screen. She wasn't wrong. But the thought of moving out, of losing late-night talks and shared grocery lists and the way he hummed off-key while making eggs felt like amputating a limb. Me. I know. Working on it. Noor. "You said that in April. That evening, I beat Liam home. The apartment was too quiet without his playlist bleeding through the walls. I ordered pizza, half veggie for me, half meat lovers for him, because of course I knew, and opened a beer, tried to work, managed 20 minutes before the door opened." "Eli?" Liam's voice was flat, stripped of its usual spark. "In here." He appeared in the doorway, tie askew, hair a mess, eyes shadowed. He looked haunted. "You okay?" I asked, closing my laptop. He didn't answer, just crossed the room and sat beside me, not at the far end of the couch, but close. "Our knees touched. I need to tell you something," he said, voice raw. "And I'm terrified, my heart jackhammered. He's moving out. He knows. He's letting me down easy." "Anything," I said. "You know that." He stared at his hands. "I went out last night with Jenna from design. She's perfect on paper, funny, smart, climbs. Everything I'm supposed to want." The pizza turned to ash in my mouth. And I spent the whole dinner wondering if you'd eaten. If you were working too late. If you were lonely. His laugh was bitter. "She kissed me goodnight, invited me in. I couldn't. I came home, sat in the parking lot for an hour trying to figure out why I felt like I was cheating." The room spun. "Liam, I'm not done." He turned to me, eyes wild. "I've been lying to myself for months, telling myself it's normal to want to touch your roommate's hair when he's asleep, to memorize how he takes his coffee, to feel jealous when he talks about that barista who flirts with him. I thought if I dated enough women it'd go away, but Eli..." His voice cracked. "It's you. It's always you." Silence stretched, thick and trembling. "How long?" I whispered. "I don't know. Maybe since the night you fell asleep on my lap during that thunderstorm. You were shaking, hate thunder, and I held you until you stopped. You mumbled something about constellations, and I thought, God, I could do this forever." I remembered. I'd woken up with his fingers in my hair, pretending to still be asleep because leaving that moment felt impossible. Why now? Because I'm tired of pretending. Tired of dates that feel like auditions for a life I don't want. Tired of waking up reaching for you and finding empty air. I swallowed hard. "Liam, I need you to hear me. I can't be your experiment. I've been the maybe guy before, the one you try on and then return when it doesn't fit. I won't survive that again." He flinched like I'd struck him. "You think that's what this is? I think you've never questioned your sexuality before. And now you are, and I'm convenient. I'm here. I'm safe." "Safe?" He laughed, sharp. "Elias, you're the most dangerous thing in my life. You make me want to burn down everything I thought I knew. I'm not asking for a test drive. I'm asking..." He stopped, breath shaky. "Do you feel it too? Or have I ruined everything?" A hysterical laugh escaped me. "I've been in love with you since you stole my hoodie and made it look better than I ever did. I've timed my showers so I'd run into you in the hallway. I've rewritten our grocery list in my head 100 times just to have an excuse to text you. His face softened. In love? Stupidly. Irrevocably. Please don't make me regret this. He moved slowly like I might bolt, cupped my face with both hands, thumbs tracing my cheekbones. I won't. I swear. I don't know what this means for me, for labels, for my family, for the future I thought I wanted. But I know I want mornings with your terrible pancakes. I want to fall asleep to you muttering about color theory. I want... His voice dropped. I want to kiss you and not have to pretend it's platonic tomorrow. Our foreheads touched. His breath was warm, mint and nerves. Ask me, I whispered. Can I? Yes. The kiss was tentative at first, lips brushing, testing, then deeper, hungrier. His hand slid into my hair, mine fisted in his shirt. The world narrowed to the scrape of stubble, the soft sound he made when I nipped his lower lip. When we broke apart, foreheads still touching, he laughed shakily. So that's what I've been missing. I traced his jaw. We're idiots. Speak for yourself. I'm a genius. Took me 9 months to figure out my dream guy was making me coffee every morning. Chapter 3. Aftershocks. The next weeks were a blur of discovery. We learned the shape of each other's mouths in the dark. The way Liam's breath hitched when I kissed the scar on his collarbone. How he liked his coffee stronger in the mornings after we stayed up talking. There were fights, too. The first time he flinched at a public touch, my hand on his back in line for coffee. The way he froze when his mom called and asked if he was seeing anyone special. The night he came home drunk from a work happy hour, eyes red, saying, "What if I'm just broken?" I held him through it, reminded him that sexuality wasn't a light switch. That confusion wasn't failure. That love didn't need a neat label to be real. We came out slowly. To Noor first, who screamed so loud I dropped my phone. To our friends at a game night, where Liam's hand found mine under the... We came out slowly. To Noor first, who screamed so loud I dropped my phone. To our friends at a game night, where Liam's hand found mine under the table and stayed there. To his sister over FaceTime, who said, "Took you long enough, loser," and sent us matching pride pins. His parents were harder. A tense dinner, his mom's tight smile, his dad's silence. But Liam held my hand under the table then, too. Didn't let go. 1 year later, we stood on that Yosemite trip he'd pitched as a joke. Dawn painted the valley gold, and Liam sketched while I photographed. He looked up, squinting against the light. "Marry me?" he asked, casual as asking for coffee. I dropped my camera. "Here?" Eventually, when we're ready. But I know now. You're my before and after, Eli. I kissed him with sunrise in our mouths and granite under our feet. The apartment still smells like rain on concrete. But now when I catch citrus in the hallway, I don't hide my smile. This is our story. This is how everything changed. The first time Alex said my name like that, it wasn't a question. It was a vow. Can I... Yes, I answered before the rest of the sentence left his mouth. But Alex didn't kiss me. He pressed his forehead to mine, the faint scent of cedar from his hoodie mixing with the night air that drifted through the cracked window. We hovered there, two silhouettes balanced on the edge of everything we'd never said. "I'm terrified," he whispered, the words scraping out of him like gravel. "Terrified I'll ruin this. That I don't know the rules. That tomorrow I'll wake up and realize I've broken the only friendship that ever felt like home." I swallowed the lump in my throat. I'm terrified too. But Alex, I'd rather be terrified with you than calm with anyone else. Something cracked open in his eyes. Relief, maybe, or surrender. Then he closed the gap. The kiss was quiet, almost shy. The kind that asks permission with every second it lingers. His mouth was warm, tasting faintly of the mint tea we'd shared an hour earlier. When I kissed him back, tentative at first, then certain, he exhaled against my lips like a man surfacing from deep water. Time folded in on itself. There was no past full of sideways glances across the kitchen table, no future full of questions we hadn't learned to ask. Just the soft pressure of his hand at the nape of my neck, the thud of his pulse under my palm. When we parted, he didn't let go. He pulled me into him, arms locking around my back, my cheek against the steady drum of his heart. "Stay," he murmured into my hair. Not at anything else. Just stay. "Okay," I said, the word muffled in cotton and cedar. "Okay." We stayed on the couch until the city outside traded its neon for dawn. The weight I'd carried for months, every unspoken "I love you," every joke that almost slipped into truth, lifted like steam off wet pavement. Whatever came next, we'd meet it honestly, together. The week that followed lived in the soft in-between. Alex and I didn't label anything. We simply let the days stretch and settle around us like a new blanket still holding the scent of the store. We cooked dinner side by side, elbows brushing over the cutting board. He'd steal cherry tomatoes from my pile and pop them into his mouth with a grin that made my chest ache. At night, we watched old sci-fi movies, thighs touching on the couch, his fingers eventually finding mine without looking, threading them together like it was the most natural thing in the world. Good morning texts pinged my phone, even though his bedroom door was 15 feet away. "Thinking of you." 3 words he never typed. But I felt them anyway. We hadn't kissed again. Not because we didn't want to, God we did, but because every glance felt like a held breath. Every accidental touch a question neither of us had found the courage to answer. Friday arrived wrapped in October chill. Alex's indie game had launched to quiet praise and a flurry of Discord messages. My mural commission downtown had been approved by the Arts Council. We celebrated at the little Lebanese place on 9th, the one with the fairy lights and the baklava that stuck to your fingers. "To new maps," Alex toasted, lifting his glass of Iraq. His eyes caught the candlelight gold and unsteady. "To drawing them together," I answered, clinking my glass against his. Back home, pleasantly fuzzy from anise and honey, we washed dishes in the narrow galley kitchen. Steam fogged the window above the sink. The overhead bulb painted everything in warm amber. "I ran into Samira at the co-op today," I said, drying a plate. "She's throwing that Dia de los Muertos party next month. Altar, pan de muerto, the whole thing. She invited us." "Both of us," Alex's hand stilled in the suds. "Both of us, as in?" "As in whatever we are by then," I said carefully. "No pressure. We can go as roommates, or skip it." He stared at the sponge like it might sprout answers. Water dripped from his wrists. "I want people to know," he said finally, voice low. "Not the whole world, not yet. But Samira, she's your oldest friend. She already knows about me, right? How you felt?" "Present tense," I corrected gently, smiling. "And yes, she's been my confessional since sophomore year." "Then let's go," he decided, meeting my eyes. "Together. Whatever that looks like." The quiet courage in it undid me. I set the plate down, stepped close, and pressed my forehead to his damp shoulder. He smelled like dish soap and cedar and the promise of something new. That night's sleep refused me. My brain replayed the evening in loops, the way his thumb had traced my knuckles under the restaurant table, the soft determination in his voice when he said together. At 2:47 a.m., I gave up. I slipped from bed, grabbed the leather-bound sketchbook I hadn't opened since grad school, and padded to the living room. The apartment was dark except for the sodium glow of streetlights striping the hardwood. I curled into the ancient corduroy armchair, Alex's thrift store find he swore was vintage mid-century, and pulled the quilt around my shoulders. My pencil moved before I told it to. After 10 minutes I realized I was drawing him, the slope of his cheekbone catching lamplight, the tiny scar above his left eyebrow from a skateboard accident at 14, the way his mouth curved when he was thinking too hard. "Insomnia club meeting?" I startled, nearly snapping the pencil. Alex leaned in the hallway, wearing nothing but navy sweatpants, hair sticking up in defiant tufts. Moonlight carved shadows across his collarbones. "Sorry," I whispered, closing the sketchbook. "Did I wake you?" "Nah, my brain's doing cartwheels." He crossed the room, dropped onto the couch, and patted the cushion beside him. "Talk to me." I hesitated, then joined him. The quilt pooled around us both. "I called my brother tonight," he said after a beat. "Javier." My pulse spiked. Javier, Marine Corps, 2 kids, lived in San Diego, was Alex's North Star. "I didn't spill everything," Alex continued. "Just said there was someone. That it was complicated. That I was scared." "What did he say?" Alex's mouth twitched. He laughed for a solid minute. Then he said, "About damn time, little brother. You've been half in love with Leo since the night he redrew your stupid pixel dragon in 10th grade. I barked a startled laugh. "He did not." "Oh, he did. Apparently I talk about you in my sleep." Alex rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. "Javi says hi, by the way, and that if I hurt you, he'll fly here and kick my ass." The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was full of city hum and the soft tick of the wall clock and the realization that the people who loved us had been waiting for us to catch up. Alex reached over, pried the sketchbook from my lap, and flipped it open. His breath caught. "Leo." He traced the drawing with one careful finger like it might smudge. "I look happy," he said, voice rough. "You are," I whispered. "We are." He set the sketchbook aside, cupped my face, and kissed me, slow, deliberate, no longer asking permission. When we pulled apart, foreheads touching, he smiled against my mouth. "Stay here," he said, "on the couch with me, until the sun comes up." I nodded. We rearranged ourselves horizontally, limbs tangled under the quilt, his heartbeat steady under my ear. Outside, a siren dopplered into the distance. Inside, the world narrowed to the rise and fall of his chest, and the quiet certainty that whatever map we drew next, we'd draw it side by side. I felt warmth bloom in my chest. She knew about me. Not the details, but yeah, she knew. And Liam, Sophia's voice got softer. She said she was happy for me. Said whoever made me sound that alive when I talked about them was obviously special, and gender didn't matter even a little bit. Tears pricked at my eyes unexpectedly. "She sounds amazing." "She is," Liam agreed. "And she wants to meet you properly, I mean, as more than just my roommate." "I'd like that," I said honestly. Liam stood up from the couch and crossed to where I sat, gently taking the laptop from my lap and setting it aside. Then he held out his hand. "Come here," he said softly. "Please." I took his hand and let him pull me to my feet, the throw blanket slipping to the floor. We stood there in the dim glow of the living room lamp, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. I could see Liam wrestling with something internal, fear and desire and uncertainty, flickering across his sharp features like shadows. "Ethan," he began, then stopped, frustration tightening his jaw. I don't have the words. I don't know how to explain what I'm feeling or what I need or... "Show me," I interrupted gently. "Liam, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to articulate everything perfectly. Just show me." Something in his expression shattered open, vulnerable, raw, breathtaking. He cupped my face in both hands, calloused thumbs brushing my cheekbones with a tenderness that made my knees weak. And when he kissed me this time, it was different. Deeper, more resolute, like he'd finally surrendered to a truth he'd been denying for too long. I kissed him back with every ounce of the longing I'd buried for months, my hand sliding up to grip his bare shoulders, feeling the rapid thrum of his pulse under my fingertips. This kiss was everything the first one hadn't been, urgent, desperate, laced with the bone-deep relief of finally touching without restraint. When we broke apart, we were both panting, foreheads pressed together. "I want you," Liam whispered, his voice rough with honesty that sent shivers racing down my spine. "God, Ethan, I want you so much it scares the hell out of me." "I want you too," I confessed. "I have for so long." Liam pulled back just enough to search my eyes in the low light. "Come to bed with me." "Not to sleep." I mean, if you want to sleep, that's fine, but I need you close tonight. Need to hold you. Need to know this is real. My answer was to lace my fingers through his and let him lead me down the narrow hallway to his bedroom, a space I'd crashed in after late-night gaming sessions or movie marathons. But never like this. Never with this electric anticipation crackling between us. Liam's room was bathed in the faint amber glow from the city streetlights filtering through half-drawn blinds, casting long shadows over posters of indie bands and a cluttered desk piled with graphic novels. His bed was a mess of rumpled sheets and a faded quilt from his college days, and the sight of it, this unguarded peek into his world, tightened something affectionate in my chest. He closed the door behind us, not for secrecy since we lived alone in our cramped two-bedroom apartment, but like he was cocooning us in this fragile new reality. Then he turned to me, his hazel eyes a storm of want and nerves mirroring my own. "I've never done this before," Liam said quietly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Been with a guy? Any of it?" "I know," I replied, stepping closer until our toes touched. "We can go slow. We can stop anytime. There's no pressure, Liam?" "That's just it, though," he said, reaching for me, pulling me flush against him. His hands settled on my hips, grounding us both. "I don't want to go slow. I've been going slow for months, denying this, fighting it. I'm done running from what I feel." He kissed me again, and this time there was no hesitation, no tentative probing. His mouth was hot and insistent, hands roaming down my back to grip my waist, pressing our bodies together until I could feel every hard line of him through our thin t-shirts and sweats. My own hands explored the broad planes of his back, the shift of muscles under warm skin, and Liam let out a low, guttural sound that ignited heat low in my belly. We stumbled backward toward the bed, lips locked, hands growing bolder. We tumbled onto the mattress in a tangle of limbs, Liam yanking me on top of him, his fingers slipping under my shirt to trace bare skin. The contact drew gasps from both of us. For a moment we just lay there, breathing raggedly, staring at each other with awe and hunger and something profound we hadn't yet named. "Ethan," Liam breathed, his large hands spanning my ribs, thumbs circling the sensitive skin just above my waistband. "Tell me what you want. Tell me what feels good." I leaned down to kiss him slower, savoring the taste of him, coffee and mint and pure Liam. "This feels good," I murmured against his lips. "You feel good. Everything about this feels right, Liam." We mapped each other with increasing assurance. Shirts vanished in a flurry of impatient tugs. Hands discovered uncharted territories, the dip of a collarbone, the curve of a hip, the spots that made the other arch or moan. Liam was attentive, almost reverent, murmuring questions when uncertainty crept in, letting me guide his touch. The trust in that vulnerability, his eagerness to learn and please, nearly undid me. "Is this okay?" he'd ask, voice husky, and each time I'd reassure him it was perfect, he'd press on with renewed confidence. We didn't go all the way. It was unspoken but mutual. This night was about connection, about bridging the emotional chasm we'd danced around for so long, not rushing the physical. Instead, we entwined skin to skin under the covers, hearts sinking in the quiet, learning the intimate details of bodies and breaths. As the first pale hints of dawn crept through the blinds, Liam tugged me closer, his face nuzzling into the crook of my neck. "I think I'm falling in love with you," he whispered against my skin. "No, that's not right. I think I've already fallen. I just didn't know what to call it until now." Tears welled up, happy, overwhelming tears. I twisted in his arms to face him fully. "I love you too." "I have for so long." Liam's smile lit up the dim room, soft and transformative. He kissed me gently, then pulled me against his chest, arms wrapping around me like he could fuse us together. "Stay," he murmured, sleep already pulling at him. "Don't go back to your room." "I'm not going anywhere," I promised, meaning it on every level. We drifted off entwined, the weight of past doubts dissolving into something simple and profound. Two people in love, finally brave enough to claim it. I woke to sunlight slicing through the blinds in unfamiliar patterns and the solid warmth of Liam's arm draped over my waist. For a second, I froze, terrified movement would pop this dream. But then Liam shifted, his grip tightening, drawing me back against his chest. "Morning," he mumbled, voice gravelly with sleep, his breath warm on my neck. "Morning," I replied, rolling to face him. In the golden light, Liam looked unguarded, hair tousled, eyes soft, that perpetual guarded edge gone. He gazed at me with such unguarded adoration it stole my breath. "No regrets?" I asked softly, needing confirmation. "Not a single one," Liam said firmly, immediately. "You?" "Just regret that we waited so long," I admitted. Liam chuckled, the sound rumbling through his chest. "Yeah, we were idiots about that, huh?" "Monumentally," I grinned. We lingered in bed another hour, whispering about everything and nothing. His anxieties about telling his family, my worries that this would disrupt our easy roommate vibe, what we envisioned for us moving forward. It wasn't all smooth. Honest talks rarely are, but the openness felt vital. "I don't have all the answers yet," Liam confessed at one point. "I don't know what label fits, gay, bi, whatever, but I know what I feel for you isn't tied to figuring that out. You're not an experiment, Ethan. You're it for me." "You're it for me too," I said simply. Reality eventually intruded. Phones buzzing, the distant hum of traffic, the aroma of fresh bagels from the bakery below our building. We rose, shared a shower that was equal parts steamy intimacy and hilarious awkwardness. Our tiny bathroom wasn't built for two. And cooked breakfast together, pancakes and scrambled eggs bumping hips at the stove. Everything felt charged now. A brush of fingers passing the syrup carried electricity, a shared smile held layers of meaning. We'd crossed into new territory and neither wanted to retreat. The following weeks were a masterclass in evolving from roommates to partners. We slipped into it with surprising grace, though not without hiccups. Liam eased into public aspects of being out. He told his sister Sophia first over a video call. She whooped so loudly her kids came running, and within minutes she was demanding we visit her in Seattle. His old gaming buddies were next. Their reactions a mix of shock and, "Dude, we kinda saw it coming with how you talked about Ethan." The toughest was his parents. I wasn't privy to the call, but I heard fragments through the thin walls, Liam's voice cracking, long pauses, a muffled sob. When he emerged, eyes rimmed red but shoulders squared, he said, "They need time, but Mom asked if you make me happy, and Dad said he just wants me safe." I pulled him into a hug. "And what did you say?" "That you treat me like I'm irreplaceable?" he murmured into my hair. "Because you do." I introduced Liam to my circle at a bonfire party hosted by my friend Alex. We dressed as characters from Dune, Liam as Paul Atreides, me as a sarcastic Stilgar, which earned roars of laughter and subtle winks when folks clocked our dynamic. Alex cornered Malatter, beer in hand. "He looks at you like you're his whole desert oasis." "Happy for you, man. Thanks for not..." Later, beer in hand. "He looks at you like you're his whole desert oasis." "Happy for you, man. Thanks for not letting me pine forever," I said, clapping his back. That's what ride or dies do. Work hummed along. I scored a big freelance gig designing album art for a local band. Liam got a raise at his tech support job, and we wove support into our routines, celebrating wins, venting frustrations. Our apartment shifted from functional shared space to a haven of shared mugs, inside jokes, and lingering touches. But perfection is a myth. About 7 weeks in, we were implicitly dating, no labels needed, Liam had a meltdown. We'd been at a dive bar watching a hockey game with his co-workers. I'd been mindful of PDA, not pushing his boundaries. But when his team scored, I instinctively squeezed his thigh under the table, a friendly gesture, but charged. One guy, Derek from IT, noticed. "You two are tight, huh?" he said with a wink that landed somewhere between bro and probing. Liam went statue still. "Roommates," he muttered, voice clipped. The night soured. In the rideshare home, he hugged the door, silent. My gut twisted, but I waited. Back home, he beelined for his old room, now mostly storage, and shut the door softly but definitively. I paced the hall, debating. Finally, I knocked. Liam talked to me, silence. "I'm coming in." I pushed open the door. He sat on the bed's edge, head bowed, fists clenched on his knees. He looked up, face a mask of guilt and fear. "I panicked," he admitted. Derek's comment hit, and I freaked about work changing, people judging. I just shut down. "Hey," I said, kneeling before him, prying his hands open to hold them. "It's okay to be scared. This is new. You don't have to be a pro at it overnight." "But I hurt you," he said, voice breaking. "Denying us like that, it stung," I owned. "But coming out's messy. Moments of unreadiness happen." "Shutting me out? That's what we fix." He scrubbed his face. "I don't know how to be the gay guy at work where I've always been straight Liam. What if I lose who I am?" "You're still Liam," I said fiercely. "Loving me doesn't erase the rest. But yeah, some might treat you different. It's bullshit, but real. You're not alone, though. You've got me, Sophia, your friends, and the real you finally free." He absorbed it, then dropped to his knees, cupping my face. "I'm sorry. You're everything. I won't lock you out again." "Forgiven," I whispered. "But communicate, okay? We're a team." He nodded, pulling me into a crushing hug. We stayed floored forever. Then, "Come to our room?" Our room. I loved it. Post that. Liam pushed boundaries deliberately, hand-holding on evening walks. A couple's pic on Instagram, us at a concert, his arm slung over my shoulders, caption, "Found my player too." Likes poured in. A few ghosts from his past unfollowed. It stung him, but he shrugged it off. Most people are stoked. The fear was bigger in my head. "Everyone's journey's unique," I said. "You're surrounded by good ones." Summer loomed with a big choice. Liam's family reunion in Colorado. "I want you there," he said. "But if Mom and Dad are weird, talked since coming out, Mom's curious about you. Dad's processing, but no rejection." "Meeting them grounds it," I said. "I want to know your roots." Flights booked, nerves high. Their cabin was rustic chic, nestled in pines, air thick with barbecue smoke. His mom, Laura, greeted with hugs, warm but tentative. "Ethan, so glad you're here." Dad, Mike, offered a firm handshake, eyes appraising. "Welcome." Early hours, strained politeness. Then Sophia arrived with her crew, breaking ice with toddler chaos. "Parents, chill," she declared over dinner. "Liam's glowing. Ethan's the reason." "End of?" Laura flushed. "We're adjusting," Mike nodded at us. "Not what we pictured." "But you look solid." "Liam, you're happier." Liam squeezed my hand. "Because I'm authentic." Talks got real, questions, missteps, but effort shown. Laura pulled me for pie cutting. I was scared for the world's cruelty. But seeing you two, protecting him from himself would have hurt more. Welcome aboard. Night in Liam's old bunk beds. Him up top, me below initially. But he climbed down. "Need you." Cramped but perfect. Morning. Laura peeked, saw us tangled on the floor, smiled, shut the door. Fall blurred into holidays. Liam out at work. Supportive boss, one awkward coffee chat turned apology from Derek. Christmas with my folks. Mom adored him instantly. Dad's protect my kid talk met with Liam's sincere "I'd never." Routines solidified. Weekend hikes. Wednesday board games. Friend nights apart. Fights happened. Over laundry. Takeout choices, but fair, with makeup sex or cuddles. New Year's at Alex's warehouse bash. Liam in a fitted Henley, me in leather jacket. "You clean up deadly," he said, arms around my waist in the mirror. "Love you," he added. "You've rewritten my code. Love you. You debugged my heart." Party. Vibes high. Midnight on the roof. City sparkling. Countdown. Liam. A year ago, half alive. Now, everything because we jumped. We both did. 10. To bravery, he said. To love over fear. But to us, fireworks boomed. We kissed like the world was ours. 1 year, 4 months post-couch confession. We'd upgraded to a 1-bedroom loft, ours. Liam ID'd as bi, volunteered at a queer youth center. You'd have saved teen me, a kid said. Liam teared up. I advanced in design. He switched jobs for balance. We got a dog, Pixel, who adored Liam's lap. Future talks, house hunting, forever. We bickered over chores, splurges, but it was life, glorious normalcy. Mornings, tangled, Pixel between, Liam gazing. Remember pulling you to bed? Best leap. Brave enough to fall. In our home with endless tomorrows, yeah, the ordinary extraordinary.